So in this video, I'm going to be demonstrating how to do the first 8 moves of the shibashi set if you need to do them seated. Now, I often say that although it's the most visible part of the qigong set, waving the arms around is not the least important, but it's certainly not the only thing that gives you any benefits. And on the face of it, it may appear that if you're seated, that the waving the arms about a bit is the only thing that you can do. As I hope you will see once I've got to the end of this video, actually that is not true. So when I'm leading a standing qigong set, the first thing I always talk about is posture. And I'm talking about having your feet a hip width apart, your hips, knees and toes all lined up. Well, that's not going to happen when you're seated, is it? Back straight, neck straight, chin tucked in so that the crown of your head is pointing at the ceiling or the sky. Core abdominal muscles engaged and shoulders relaxed with your arms hanging gently by your side. The posture is a very important part of qigong in terms of allowing your energy to flow properly. And although obviously you cannot have the lower half of your body in a straight line, you can in fact have the upper part of your body in good posture. So when seated, the important things are back nice and straight, neck nice and straight, chin tucked in, crown of head pointing at ceiling. However, the sort of chair that you choose can make a huge difference to how effectively you can actually make the rest of your qigong set. Now, as you can see, I'm sitting on my therapy stool. It's got no back and I can adjust the height to suit me. I appreciate a lot of you won't have that option. If you have got a stool that's the right height, that's perfect. If you haven't got a stool, a dining chair without arms is the best option. But if all you've got is a chair with arms, that's absolutely fine. So how can you adapt to make sure that you are getting the most benefit in terms of how the lower part of your body is aligned? Well, one important thing is that you need to be able to sit with your feet flat on the floor. Obviously, that depends on the height of the chair or the stool. If you can't adjust the height of the chair so that your feet can touch the floor, then put a cushion underneath your feet so that your feet are flat. Now, there can be numbers of ways in which you can have your feet on the floor and they're flat, and you can see that I'm kind of moving my feet about at the moment, and in every position my feet are flat on the floor. The best position to be in for seated qigong is with a nice 90-degree right angle here and a nice 90-degree right angle here. If your chair isn't quite the right height for you to manage that, then you can always put cushions on the seat to raise you up if that's what's necessary, or, as I've already said, cushions under your feet if that's the bit that needs to be raised. There is also another place where a cushion can be useful with seated qigong, and that's behind your back. Because if you're using a seated chair, a chair with a back, the one thing that you shouldn't do, if you can avoid it, is actually lean back against the back of the chair. It's much better if you can be sitting up and supporting your back without leaning against the chair. This may mean that you need a cushion behind your back. This is again making sure that you've got a 90-degree angle around your hips. So, the position of your legs and feet is still very important in seated qigong. You still need to have your feet a hip width apart. You still need to make sure that your feet are parallel and facing forward, so not turned out and not turned in, parallel and facing forward. Obviously, your knees are going to be bent and they will stay more or less in that position for the entire set. It isn't quite what happens, as you will see when I demonstrate some of the moves later. But one thing that you definitely can do is engage these core abdominal muscles. With some of the moves when you're standing, I'm talking about turning from the waist. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. Turning from the waist is actually easier to do when you're seated, because quite literally it's much harder to turn from the hips if your hips and bum are firmly seated on a chair. So in that respect, doing the qigong seated is slightly easier because it's much easier to make sure that you're only turning your upper body when you're seated. So, if you've got a stool, you can see that it's quite easy to move your arms as you would do if you were standing. Ditto if you've only got an armless chair with a back, like a dining chair. But obviously, if the only chair you've got is one that's got arms, or if that's the only chair that you can easily sit in, you're not going to have quite the unrestricted access to move your arms that you do if you're standing up. This will become obvious when I demonstrate some of the moves in a bit. However, this doesn't mean that you can't do qigong effectively, because one of the things I always say, and this is even more important with seated, is to do what works for you. And if what works for you is being in a chair that slightly restricts the freedom of movement that you've got, that's fine, because you're doing what works for you. And as long as you get as closest that you can to actually doing the moves with the same freedom you would if you were standing, that's fine. But this also ties into making sure that you don't do anything that causes you pain or discomfort. If trying to sit up with a straight back causes you pain or discomfort, then it's simple, don't do it. Nothing you do during a qigong set should cause you pain or discomfort. So if you can't quite get the best posture, get as close as you can and just adjust what you do to what's possible for how your body is when it's in that chair. So, I will go through the first 8 moves and demonstrate how they can be done seated. So the first move is very easy. You breathe in, you let your arms float up, you breathe out, and they sink back down again. That is more or less exactly the same as it is in the standing move. You don't really have to make any adjustments. The only adjustment you might have to make is if you've got arms on your chair so you can't easily get your hands down by your side, just put your hands in your lap and just work from your lap. No problem. Second move is again very similar. You breathe in, your arms come up, you turn your hands in, And you let your arms spread out, and as you breathe out, your hands float back in and back down. Again, in an ideal world, your hands are going right down by your side, but if you've got arms and you can't, working from your left is absolutely fine. Now we come to the first move where it starts to affect your feet, and that is painting rainbows. So in this move, on the in-breath, you take your hands up. And then if you're standing, I say dip slightly on your left knee and let your right arm uncurl. Well, quite obviously, dipping slightly on your left knee to transfer your weight slightly more onto your left side is not possible when you're seated. However, instead of dipping on the left knee, what you can do is slightly raise the right heel, which energetically has the same effect. So in painting rainbows, as your right arm uncurls, you allow your right heel to raise up. And as you breathe in, the hand comes up, the heel slips down, and then do the same on the other side. Letting the left hand uncurl and raising the left heel. Shimples, as the meerkats would say. And only raise your heel as far as you're comfortable with. If you can manage to get your heel all the way up like that, that's fine. If all you can manage is a slight tilt like that, that's equally fine. It's not about doing it perfectly, it's about doing it perfectly for you. So, after painting the rainbows, we part the clouds. And this is the move where as you breathe in, you go up, and as you breathe out, you let your hands sweep down by your side. Now again, if you're standing, your hands can go down by your side. You can easily bring them in front of you to raise them up and get them up the top again. Again, possibly not quite as easy to do if you're seated, if you've got arms by your chair, you're going to have, you might end up with your hands on your lap, but that's okay, because your hands rise up from your lap, come up the centre, and then as you breathe out, your hands sweep down and come back into your lap again. I often say it doesn't matter, make your circles as big or as small as works for you. And if you're working on your lap and you're only making a small circle like that with parting the clouds, that's absolutely fine. Because the benefits that you get from waving your arms around are actually moving your energy in your body. And that works whether you're making a big circle like that or a small one like that. Might not be quite as effective, but there is still going to be some benefit. Right. The last move that I normally demonstrate, that's move 4, parting the clouds. Next move that I've covered in this set on the shibashi is turning from the waist and the and kind of gathering in. So this move starts with your hands in front of your abdomen. That's easy to do. Just put them on your lap. That's quite easy. And then as you breathe in, you turn from the waist. Dead easy to do when you're seated. It's actually quite hard to turn from your hips if you're seated. So as you breathe in, turn from the waist, take one hand out. As you breathe out, bring the hand in. Then do the same on the other side, turning from the waist on the in-breath and bringing the hand in on the out-breath. Really, there's no difference between this one seated and standing, unless by some chance your chair has got very high arms, in which case you may need to work a little bit higher. Following on from that, we row the boat on the lake. Again, seated, this move is almost identical to standing up. You breathe in, your arms go up, and then as you breathe out, they float back down. Again, the issue here is whether you take your hands all the way down by your side, or if you have to bring them onto your lap. Again, it's easy to adapt the move, so your hands come down onto your lap, then you breathe in, your arms go up again, and then float down onto your lap. Okay. Following on from rowing the boat on the lake, we do balancing the ball. Now this is another move where the first thing I say to the standing set is, as you breathe in, take your weights, shift your weight slightly to your left knee, slightly dip on your left knee as you raise your right arm. Well, hopefully you won't be too surprised when I say if you're seated, you raise your right heel as you raise your right arm across your body. And then do the same on the other side, raising the left heel as you raise your left arm across your body. Again, this slight rise of the heel is energetically just the same as dipping slightly on the other knee. The last move that we've covered so far in this set is gazing at the moon, which starts with your hands here in front of you, as if you're holding a ball. And quite obviously, unless you've got very, very high arms to your chair, this is the arms of your chair are not going to be an issue. So as you breathe in, you turn slightly from the waist. And again, I would be saying, breathe in, turn from the waist to the left, dip slightly on the left knee. But now you're not going to be surprised when I say turn slightly to the left, raise the right heel as you raise your arms slightly up to the left, and then as you breathe out, everything comes back down, and then reverse it, taking your hands to the right as you raise your left heel. It's simply a matter of just using a bit of common sense, really. The same rules that I've outlined here apply throughout the whole of the set almost. I'll just repeat something that I do often say. It's not about doing moves perfectly. It's about doing them perfectly for you. And you not only means how your body is, what your joints want to do, what your shoulders feel like doing, what your back's happy to do, but also where your body needs you to sit. So as long as you're remembering the core things, that you're keeping your back as straight as you can, your neck as straight as you can, and you've got your feet and legs in the best possible position that you can manage, and engaging those core muscles as well as you can, you are still going to get considerable physical and energetic benefits from a seated qigong set. One benefit, which is completely the same whether you're doing it seated or standing, is the psychological benefit of taking time to do something for yourself for no other reason than you're worth it. And to be honest, I sometimes think that in many respects, that's one of the most important benefits you get from doing qigong. Yes, you do get physical benefits. Yes, nice and relaxing, especially if you're doing the set with a short meditation at the end. It is nice and relaxing, and you should end the session feeling, nicely. Yeah, that was great. I feel nice and relaxed now. I'm ready to greet the day. But you cannot underestimate the psychological effect of simply taking time to do something for you, for no other reason than you know that you're worth taking time over. You recognise that this is something that you need to do for you. And that's the same whether you do it in the best possible standing posture, or whether you are one of my wheelchair based clients who, really has extremely limited movement, and really the only thing that you can do. I mean, the one mantra I have for my CPM class is, if you can breathe, you can do it. And that applies just as much if you are trying to do seated qigong, and or as because you can't stand up down at the time, as it does if you have no choice because you physically cannot stand due to whatever disability. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. When I get to the end of the shibashi set, I will demonstrate the last 8 moves seated, and I intend to do a full shibashi video when I've reached the end of demonstrating every step of the shibashi set, and I will do a full standing set, and I will also in a separate video do a full seated set. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will hopefully have the pleasure of you watching me again soon. Thank you very much.